All right, the last thing we covered at the end of the first video, or the first screencast, was an overview of the mini project and the literature review paper. And again, this is in the syllabus. So moving on to the next part of the syllabus, it's just a way here of looking at your points a little bit differently, seeing the totals for the participation and completion of work in the learning modules, then your mini project and your final paper to get your point total. 100% of the points would be 150. I stress when you're trying to figure out like your grade or your final grade to make sure you calculate it on your own and don't let Blackboard calculate it for you, or don't just rely on Blackboard, because a lot of you will be frustrated. I've had people in the past try to calculate their grade within Blackboard, and I always just tell them, just take your total points, make sure you accurately have counted it, and then divide by 150, because Blackboard, there's errors with it when it's doing the points and in calculating your grade. In terms of the letter grade, these letter grades are pretty standard in the College of Education, so probably nothing new there. On this page of the syllabus, it just goes through, just make sure you're communicating using your GMU email, because your GMU email is where I'll be emailing you from this course. I would check that at least every day, once a day, to make sure you don't have a message from this course. Participation, everything is online, and that's why it's so important you check your email and that you're in Blackboard, if not every day, every other day. Because we'll never meet synchronously online, which means at the same time, but you'll meet asynchronously, which means you'll have a certain amount of work to complete by the end of a learning module with a certain due date. The last two pages here of the syllabus are pretty standard for the College of Education. It goes through the honor code just like any other class. You should follow the honor code for this course and complete all the work for the course on your own, and it should be not work submitted for another course, but material that you developed for this particular course. If you're registered for the Office of Disability Services, I encourage you to let me know as soon as possible so we can get your accommodations in place. Other things to highlight that are university and college-wide, the CAPS, the Counseling and Psychological Services, is there for you if you need that at any time throughout the semester. And the Writing Center, if I'm reading parts of your paper as we go and I think you need to visit the Writing Center, I will let you know. However, if you want to visit the Writing Center, you can decide at any time and set up an appointment to do so to help with your writing. I've heard they're very helpful in that respect. Now, beyond the two different versions of the syllabi and the course expectations, in this tab, it has responsibilities and services of online students. There's also something I have up here called the FAQ blog and discussion, and I'll show you how to get to it. It's over here on the left and the bottom. So that way you can have questions answered that might be coming up during the course. And you can also email me. And then there's some IT supports and Blackboard support links here. So in terms of the FAQ blog and discussion, here, if you click on it, you can open up an area where you can ask a question. No question is silly or stupid, but if you think it really might benefit the group, I would encourage you to post it here, and so that when I answer, everybody can see my response. You're also welcome to email your question to me if I think the answer would benefit everyone. I'm not going to say who asked the question, but I'll post an announcement with helpful information for people. So that is going into the FAQ blog and discussion area. Now, beyond the syllabus and expectations, we have the course overview page here. If you go in here, the course overview, it gives you kind of a very short version of all the learning modules and their titles basically, and then tells you what to expect in general, what types of things you can find in each learning module in terms of work. After that first tab, you'll find major course assignments, which is usually of high interest to people. It tells you your mini project and your literature review project, and I did not update these dates. So this date is actually November 16th for the mini project, and this one is the 30th of November. So November 16th and November 30th for these two big projects, and I'll update that after I finish this recording. But if you go into this, these folders are both set up alike. It has a description of the assignment and the rubric, an outline for putting together the project, and then samples. You'll notice here are 2 group samples and an individual sample. With the big projects, you're welcome to work in up to a group of 4. So let's say you want to do the literature review paper on your own. That would be fine. And then let's say you want to do the mini project with some people you've met in the class. You can do one individually and then one together. What's really hard is to do, you can do both together with the same group. What would be really hard for people is if you had 2 different groups for the 2 different projects. So I recommend you either do one with a group and one not, or one group for both. But what you have here, and there's no real difference because there's challenges of doing an individual paper in an online class and a group paper. So there's no real difference in the scope of the assignment. It's just how you will accomplish it. And so in the rubric and directions, you'll see a full description of what I'm expecting you to do, and then the different pieces with point value for the rubric. So basically in this mini project, you're designing a study, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you do it in whatever area you're doing your literature review in. But then your proposed study will be one in that area that you're proposing that you could do if you were going to do a study to further the research in that particular interest area. So it's a hypothetical study, not one you're actually doing. In the outline for the mini project, it is a PowerPoint template. And a lot of the headings aren't going to make sense right now, but each slide is set up with a heading that helps you know what to put on that slide. So like this one, you'll put the title, the group member names, the next one, the educational problem, then you'll have your purpose statement and research questions. So you'll be learning about all these pieces before we start putting this project together around Module 7 or 8. Okay, so then again, your samples. If you go into the other project folder, you will see information on the final paper. It'll again have a description with a rubric, so I'm just going to pull that up so you can take a quick look at it. It's just like the other one, but this one describes your literature review paper, and it has a rubric with the point value. A key thing to know here with this literature review is you'll need to pull 8 to 10 research studies. So these are different than typical just articles in journals, but they will be on a particular topic and they have to be studies. So we'll talk about in the future weeks how to ensure you're pulling what we call an intervention study, because the focus of this class are interventions. These are different things you would put in place in an academic or behavioral area to help students progress in special education. So there's some kind of intervention going on in these studies that are hopefully impacting positively student progress. So if there's a certain intervention you have in mind to research, then you would pull 8 to 10 studies on that particular area. In this folder, there's again an outline. This outline is a different format. This outline is a Word document. In this Word document is a paper already in APA format where you're going to delete out the pieces I have in there and put in your information, like the title of your paper, your name, and then when you get down here, your abstract, and then the body of your paper. And you'll be putting the paper together in your research review wiki, but I also recommend that as you put it together in the wiki, you put it together within the paper template. And just like the PowerPoint template and the examples, I have sample papers here for you to look at. So again, all of this information was under the course overview. We went into the major course assignments, and we went into each folder for each major course assignment. Okay, the next piece are course rubrics. These are very similar. This is just how you'll score and earn points in each learning module. Basically, if you complete the work and you complete it well and on time, you'll get your participation points. These are just the rubrics without the directions that I just showed you in the 2 major course assignment folders. And just remember that these modules are bi-weekly, so you're going to have a lot of work and you want to keep up with it, because that's the major thing I find in this course. If you don't keep up with the learning modules, it can be a bit overwhelming and people struggle. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is another way to get to the FAQ blog. If you're going to get to the FAQ blog here, you can click on it And it's just another way to get to the FAQ blog to ask questions like we talked about before. In this tab, Learning Modules, this is going to be your one-stop shop for the class. So twice a week, we'll put up learning modules. I'll put up learning modules that you'll need to complete. This one was posted today, and you'll notice it's due by, I actually have it dated here, the end of the Grace module, or Grace Day, which is Thursday. So every time you complete a learning module, the first one of the week will be posted on Monday morning, and it will be due by Wednesday night at 11:59. But I give everybody a 24-hour grace period, which means you can turn it in for full credit up through Thursday evening. But just remember, on Thursday morning, September 28th, another module will be posted. So if you're posting on that grace day, there's going to be a little bit of an overlap because your next module will already be running, and that will be due by Sunday night at 11:59, with your grace day being the following Monday when the next module is proposed and put forth. Now, each module is set up a very, very similar way. This will be one of the only modules with videos, so you'll have our 2 video parts, you'll have a reading, and then a lot of weeks you'll have a small, like just a few page additional reading, and then a PowerPoint. You can decide what format of the PowerPoint you want to look at. One is narrated, one's just a PowerPoint, one's a transcript, and one's just the audio. So whichever you prefer. I would definitely recommend you go through that before you do the quiz on that module, because you're going to need to do the course readings, which are here, and there's usually, again, a chapter from your book and then an embedded part. You'll see where it's embedded here. I'll click on it. It'll pull up the article that you need to read. So you definitely want to do your readings and listen and watch the PowerPoint before you do that reading track quiz. Remember, this is the quiz that is not counted for points, but lets me know how you're doing, and you can take them as many times as you want. This particular week, you have a discussion board posting, and if you click on that discussion board, it says click to launch, and it will take you right to where you should post on that discussion board. So like I said, learning modules are really a one-stop shop. There you are on the introduction forum. Some people are already posting. So if you want to know where your work is, go right to that learning module for that week. On the this learning module, you have a city training activity that's actually longer, so it's not due until the end of the second learning module. And then the very last thing is you'll click on this, Are You on Track? It's the same thing as this advanced organizer you see in the beginning. The Are You on Track in the beginning that tells you the learning module work for the week. The end document is kind of like a checklist of the same thing, just to make sure you've completed everything. Okay, so I will, after you finish this first learning module, start posting them in advance, so if you want to work ahead, you can. And we'll have a total of 14 to 15 learning modules. The help, I'll just click on it, is where you can go as a student to get Blackboard help for Blackboard specific information. There's also a place in the syllabus where you could get that as well and click on those links. My grades, you won't see that for me, but you'll see what assignments I have coming due for everybody. Your research review wikis. On this page, I've designed a research review wiki where you'll post parts of your paper as we go, and I'll have directions on how you post, and you find your name and you click on it and you post your content. It'll be very, very easy to use, and I'll have directions as we get into using the wikis. We won't use it at the very first learning module. Activities and assignments, this tab is just another way to go to bigger assignments. The only one I have open right now is that city module. That Word document I talked about in the other video is here to help you access and that third-party website for the module more easily. Okay, but notice this isn't due until the end of the second learning module, which is October 2nd. Sometimes people want to work in groups. I can set up a group here. A lot of times people prefer to use Google Docs. If you want to send email, I'm our librarian here. Again, you can also email through regular email. Our librarian has posted some resources here. Her name is Ann Driscoll. That's her picture. She's very, very, very helpful. So I highly recommend contacting her if you have research questions as we go. The other tabs, the Blackboard Help and Blackboard Tutorials, we had talked about how to access those through the syllabus. We had talked about the FAQ blog, and these other things are things that I deal with as an instructor. So I think I've covered everything. If you have questions about the course, feel free to ask. I will have optional Collaborate sessions where you can also ask questions. I look forward to a great class with you.